Well, good afternoon, everyone. Let me get on my slides here. So I'm Reena Gajjar. My company is called the Aesthetic Company. And what I'm going to talk to you today about an opportunity that most dentists are missing in facial aesthetics. And I call it the billion-dollar opportunity. So a little bit about myself. So I am a prosthodontist, and I'm also an esthetician. And yes, I did it in that order. So I did aesthetics after doing my pros training, which people find very fascinating. I also have a degree from Harvard in business analytics, AI, and data science. And I'm a graduate of Venture University in San Francisco. And that might seem like a really odd combination of educational experiences, but what it allows me to do is it allows me to look at things from both a clinical perspective and also a business opportunity perspective. And when I think about businesses, I always think about the revenue, the profitability, and also, if you're thinking about selling your business, the valuation at the end of the day. So, we all do our business to have revenue and profit, but at some point, you're going to want to exit that business. So I look at things from that perspective. In my career, I've been in clinical practice as a prosthodontist. I've also done a variety of other businesses, so I think of myself as an entrepreneur. I had a training institute, a software company, I had a cosmetic company. I also had my skin clinic that I'll talk to you about, and currently I have my aesthetic company, and I'm launching a line of skincare products. So I'm going to go all the way back to 1991. And I think I was like 2 years old at this time when I started this business. So we started our Hands-On Training Institute, and we offered mini residency programs in implant dentistry. And what ended up happening is, as we were teaching dentists about how to do the surgery and the prosthetic and implants, we started getting a lot of questions about, okay, great, I have these skills, but how do I implement this into my practice? And how do I actually create profitability in my practice? So we started doing consulting on helping dentists to create a profit center in their practice. Because remember, we want to think about profitability at the end of the day. You're not just doing this for free or for fun. Although that might be nice, at the end of the day, you have to make some money doing what you're doing. And so that was in 1991. Now, fast forward to 2006. I started my skin clinic. It was called Timeless, the Skin Rejuvenation Clinic. And it was an adjunct to our pros practice. So you can see the pictures of my clinic. We had a shared waiting room, but when you went into the waiting room, you went left for dental and you went right for skin. And you can see my treatment room. And if you look out the window, we were actually on the 17th floor of an office building. So it was challenging thinking about how I was going to market my services to patients. And so within my clinic, I had my treatment rooms, but I also had an area where I did consultations and I sold products to patients. I would talk about maintenance of skin and skin health. And one of the reasons I started my skin clinic, because as prosthodontists, we do a lot of full mouth reconstructions. And I would finish a case, it might take a year or two to do this case, and then you stand back and you look at their smile and you think, wow, your smile looks amazing, but oh my gosh, your skin. You have that feeling of, I could really help you just overall facial aesthetics. And that's how I really got into doing this. And the other thing I did with my skin clinic is I built a franchise model. So I worked with a franchise company, and we built out this franchise model to add the skin clinic to other dentists. And this was all in Canada, I was doing that. And a few years later, unfortunately, or fortunately, we moved to the US, so I had to stop my clinic in Canada. But let's take a look at some of the services that I offered. So I did do a facial analysis and consultation. I had a facial analysis machine. And this was probably my best purchase, because I really didn't have to sell treatments. It really did a lot of the selling for me. I did injectables like most of you are doing in the room today. And I had energy-based treatments I offered. And I also added some other services, just general facials. I had microderm. I did some laser facials, so a variety of facial treatments. And then I also carried my line of medical-grade skincare products. And for marketing and promoting my business, so let me show you the playbook of exactly what I did. So there's my website. You can see that I liked red. My rooms were red against all advice that I had. I've made my rooms red. My website was red. And So for marketing, what I did was I started advertising. And back then, in 2006, if you were around back then, we didn't have social media. So I actually advertised on the radio. And what I would advertise is an invitation to my monthly seminar. And so once a month, I did an evening seminar. And it was a wine and cheese event. I would get people to come. I would do wine and cheese. I had a 1-hour presentation I would do, which was really educational. And I would talk about skin health, and how lasers worked, and so forth. And then I would do a live demonstration of just some procedure. And sometimes it was very basic. It was just a facial. Sometimes it was more laser treatment. But I would do some kind of demonstration. I also got myself on a weekly TV show. So similar to what some of you might be doing in social media, becoming influencers, I was on a hosted TV show. I had a 15-minute segment, so I would go to the studio once a week, and they would ask me all kinds of questions, and I would talk about the latest and greatest in skin. And that built my brand. It built a reputation in the community, and it established myself as a skin expert. Because remember, I was on the 17th floor of an office tower. So my clinic was not visible to anybody unless they actually came into our facility. The other thing I did was I offered packages. And just after listening to Michelle talk, I mean, this whole concept of memberships, packages were really back then similar to what memberships would be today. So I would sell treatments in 6-month segments or 12-month segments, and that ensured people coming in on a regular basis. The other thing I did is I did combination treatments, and I think we heard about that yesterday. So I never sold anything one-off. Everything was always combined, and I always had a maintenance program. I did a lot of very aggressive laser peels in my practice, which are mostly one-off treatments, but I would never sell that alone. I always had a maintenance program of regular facials that they would start 2 or 3 months later, and they would continue on a maintenance program, and that also included skincare products. So as I mentioned, I had a line of medical-grade skincare products. And I offered a commission structure to my employees, so not just the ones that worked on the skincare side, but anyone in the clinic, if they were on the dental side but not really involved, I trained them on my products, the benefits of the products, and everyone got to benefit from having commissions on any sale of my products. So let's look at the highlights and what actually happened. So what's really interesting is in my monthly seminars, I sold between $30,000 and $50,000 worth of treatment every time I did a seminar. And back in 2006, that was a lot of money. It was a lot of packages I sold. And that was just from educating. I always believe that you educate first, and then the business comes later. So I'm a big believer in that. I was profitable from month 1, which was amazing. I did my first seminar actually just a couple of weeks before I launched the clinic. So I was already doing some marketing before I launched, so that when I opened my doors day 1, I already had patients scheduled. I became the #1 seller of products in our province in Canada for the skincare company, which made them very happy. And also, I was very happy about that. I'm a huge believer in maintenance, and we can talk a little bit about that later. And because of all this, I was able to develop a loyal customer base, and I generated a model that was recurring revenue, because the one thing about product sales is when they run out, they need to come back to you to get them, especially if it's a product line that is not easily accessible in many other locations, right? So they need to come back to you if it's a good product line. And the most interesting thing that happened is because we were marketing outside of the clinic, we actually increased patients and revenue for our prosthodontic practice. So that part of the business was also growing because of the activities we were doing in the skin clinic. And so people always ask me, what was my secret to success? And before I get into that, I think it's really important to always take a step back and look at the industry and look at the trends and what's happening. And because I have a degree in business analytics, I have to analyze everything. So let's do some analysis and think about why I was successful and how this might apply to you in your practice. So let's first talk about what is facial aesthetics. I think all of us have different definitions of what facial aesthetics is. You know, if you ask a plastic surgeon, they're going to say, well, it's the facelifts that I do and all the surgery. And you ask an esthetician, and they're going to say, well, it's the facials I do and the massages and the products I sell. And you ask a dentist or a medical doctor, well, it's the injectables that I do. And in fact, when you look up the definition of facial aesthetics, it's actually a non-surgical, minimally invasive procedure that's designed to enhance natural features and reduce the sign of aging. And so this encompasses a lot of treatment. So let's go through and look at what treatments this actually encompasses. So it does include dermal fillers, as we know, neuromodulators such as Botox, energy-based treatments. And I think a lot of us are doing this, that are sitting in this room are already doing all this. But it also includes these other treatments, such as chemical peels. It includes microdermabrasion. It includes microneedling. It includes facials. And of course, products, because products are part of a maintenance program for maintaining skin health and increasing longevity of treatment. So all of these things are in that facial aesthetics category. And the reason I'm telling you this, because I want us to look at the global market of facial aesthetics. And so have a look at this. In 2021, the global market was a $6 billion industry. It's anticipated to grow at 15% a year. And by 2031, it's going to be a $25 billion industry, which is huge. That is a huge industry. And if you look at this chart here on the right, you can see that the majority of the industry is dermal fillers and Botox, which is great. I think you guys are all probably feeling pretty happy. Everyone's doing these treatments. You're thinking, I'm taking advantage of this market. It's a big market. But what you're missing is the rest of this market, which is microderm, chemical peels, and other treatments, and that could be other facials and so forth. And even though it looks like a small segment in this graph of the total industry, let's look at the data a different way. When we look at the data a different way, we can see that actually that microderm, chemical peels, and other treatments are actually 25% of the industry, which is a market of $5 billion. Which is a huge industry. And I bet you most of us are missing this in this room. We're not really even thinking about this segment of the population because we're focusing on the more aggressive treatments, the lasers, the injectables, and so forth. But there is this huge industry out there that we can take advantage of. And let's dive down a little bit more. So let's look at some more market research. Because as I mentioned, I'm all about research and analytics. Okay, so let's keep doing this a little bit longer. So this one market research says laser therapy, chemical peels, and microderm are on the rise due to the minimal downtime. And we are seeing a trend where many, many patients are looking for services with minimal downtime. Those office, those lunchtime facials, those are very popular things that people do, the day before their wedding. You don't want anything to go wrong, right? It has to be very minimal, but make the skin look good and glow. Those are all the treatments that we probably aren't offering in our clinics. And people are getting these treatments, they're just going elsewhere. The total number of non-surgical cosmetic procedures increased by 44% in 2021. And looking further, chemical peels and microderm techniques are expected to drive the demand growth. So they're the procedures that are driving people to the clinics, and then people are expanding into other things. So think about that, those things that bring people into your office, and then they might do the more extensive procedures later on. And the most interesting thing is consumers are opting for prescribed products in facial aesthetic formulations. So now we're talking about products and medical care, skincare products that you're prescribing from your office for patients. So rather than going to Sephora and buying skincare products there, people are wanting to get products from medical practitioners, from clinics. They feel it's more prescribed, it's more concentrated and more effective. So that is what the data is showing. And having a further look at this, we're looking at the facial treatment market. This is outside of injectables. So these are your laser treatments, RF ultrasound, IPL, LED treatments. This industry, by 2031, is going to be a $1.5 billion industry, which is great, because I think a lot of us are starting to get into these services. Let's just take it a step up further. Look at the chemical peel market. $3.3 billion by 2034. That's twice the size of the laser and IPL market. So it's a huge market that we're probably all missing out on. Okay, now is everyone sitting down, because this next one is going to shock you. Here's the medical grade skincare product market. $168 billion industry by 2030. That is absolutely huge. So when we look at these services, the facial treatments, the skincare products, overall, this is a $173 billion industry. It is so much bigger than the injectable market that we are all focusing on, and this is an area that you have the opportunity to expand into to grow your practices. So that's the billion-dollar industry that I was saying that we are all missing out. So what was my secret to success? As we step back and look at it, it was actually that I was creating another profit center. And by thinking about all these services that are in demand in the community, if you start incorporating those into your practice, you're actually going to create another profit center. So let's have a look at how that works. Here we have our common scenario. I see this all the time. So you've got your dentist, right? The dentist is doing restorative pros, ortho, whatever services they're offering in their practice. So that's a profit center in the practice, the dentist. Now they add a hygienist. So the hygienist is doing scaling, root planing, other maintenance programs. So that is your second profit center in the practice. So it's running independently 2 profit centers. And now the dentist adds aesthetics. Okay, now they're doing injectables, some more advanced lasers, maybe some PRP, PRF, whatever they're doing. They add this to their practice. But unfortunately, this does not become its own profit center. This is actually a profit part of the dentist profit center. Because the dentist is doing those treatments, they have to stop doing one of the other things that they're doing in order to do these injectables. So you're still at a 2 profit center business. And that is okay if that's what you're going for. If you're trying to bring services in that maybe you enjoy doing it more. Maybe you want to wind down your dental and you're moving into this industry. But when you think about profitability, you think about profit centers, and you think about resale of your practice down the road, this does not work because these are what I call replacement services. So you're replacing one thing with something else. And remember I said to you, I always think about the exit. This is not a good exit strategy if this is what you're trying to do. It's great if you love doing this, and that's totally okay. But if you're looking for expanding your business, what you need to do is you need to create a profit center. And so this is how you need to do this. So same scenario. We've got our dentist, restorative pros, ortho, and now they add the hygienist. Okay, and the hygienist got their profit center. So here we have our 2 profit centers. The dentist decides to offer some more advanced aesthetic services, injectables. So they're still within the same profit center. This is still a 2 profit center business. But the way to add a 3rd profit center is you need to hire someone, an esthetician, a laser tech, whatever your state allows you to do, but you hire somebody in that is going to run a separate business for you, which is your aesthetic services. And within this business, now you offer all the things that you do not need to do, the basic laser treatments, chemical peels, microderm, microneedling, facials, and you sell products in this profit center. And this is a winning strategy if you're trying to think about an exit, because these are now called additive services. And the one thing I learned in Venture University, I actually sit on the board of a couple of venture capital firms on the advisory board, and we're always evaluating businesses and dental practices. And the thing we always think about is the number of profit centers within that business and how replaceable is that business. So if you went back the one slide, if the dentist is doing all the aesthetics, it doesn't add value to the business because that dentist is not easily replaceable with another dentist that's also doing facial aesthetics. So it's harder to sell that type of business. It's much easier to sell this type of a business where you've got a 3rd profit center being run by somebody else. So that was my secret to success, is that I actually created another profit center. All the other rest of the stuff was great, the seminars and all that, but this was the actual business strategy. And what I did was I hired an esthetician, and I established myself as an expert, which brought people in outside of our practice, right, to our clinic. So we did market to people within our practice, but by establishing yourself as an expert outside, you bring patients in, similar to what Michelle's doing with her social media, same kind of strategy. I offered a wide variety of services that catered to a variety of income levels. So if you're only offering the higher end services, and I know that some people think that's a great strategy and it might work, but I'm a big believer in offering something for everybody because you never know those patients, right? The ones that come in, maybe they just want to buy one product from you, one eye cream or a vitamin C cream or something. They just want to buy that one thing. And over time, they develop loyalty to your practice. And maybe now they're going to do a facial, and then maybe they're going to do a laser treatment. Those are the patients that grow into your practice. So I'm a big believer in being able to offer something for everybody. Oh, I think I'm out of time. Just give me a few more minutes. But because of this, I was able to develop a recurring revenue model. And I sold products, which were part of that recurring revenue model. As you sell products, again, if you're selling things that they can't get elsewhere, then they're going to come to you for getting those products. Let's talk quickly about medical grade products. I'm almost done. So when I think about products, a lot of dentists or people say to me, wow, I don't really want to sell products. I don't really make a lot of money. You know, a cream's like $100, and I could rather sell, laser treatment for $1,000. But what you're missing on this point is you need to think about profitability versus revenue. Okay? Skincare products actually have a higher profit margin than most of the treatments we do in our practice. We have high overhead when you're doing treatments. There's really very little overhead when you carry products. It also allows you to create a recurring revenue model, creates patient loyalty because patients keep coming back for products. It improves skin health, and so they're getting better results from the treatments you're doing in your office, and increases longevity of facial treatments. And there was actually a study done in the Journal of Dermatology that said that 70% of aesthetic results come from at-home skincare regimens. So think about that. That's a huge improvement in skin health from treatments that you're doing. And the one thing I do want to say quickly is that if you're doing treatments in your practice and you're not giving patients medical grade or any kind of products to take home with them, they're going to go home, they're going to go to Sephora. I feel like I'm picking on Sephora, but anyways, they're going to go to Sephora. They're going to have some 18-year-olds tell them what creams to buy. They might have some bad reactions to those creams. And who are they going to blame? They're going to blame the cream from Sephora. They're going to blame you because you did this massive treatment in your office. They're going to come back to you, and it's going to be your fault because the outcome it did not work out the way they had hoped. So it's really important to prescribe those products that you want your patients to have after you do these treatments. This is my company, the Aesthetic Company. I offer consulting services and education. One of the education programs I offer is about skin and skin health. And as dentists, as we know, we don't actually learn anything about skin in dental school. We learn facial anatomy, which makes us absolutely great injectors, but we don't really know skin. And so I do have courses on skin and skincare, and I'm be launching an online course in the next few months that I'll make available to everybody. And then I have a skincare line called Monk Skin Rituals. So you can scan the QR code, be added to my email list, and I will contact you. I'm also offering complimentary consultations if anybody just wants to chat about their practice. If I can give you any tips, I'm really happy to do that. And thank you for the opportunity.